Hi guys, THA here, and we have a wonderful appraisal for you today. I'm Sam.
And I'm Evan.
And today we are going to look at one of the classic horror creatures.
Yeah, that's right, the lycanthrope.
What's a lycanthrope, you say?
Better known as the werewolf.
What the fuck's a werewolf?
A what wolf?
Wolf?
Anyway, 1980s The Howling, directed by Joe Dante.
To be contrasted quite frequently with American Werewolf in London.
That's true. A lot of people say that American Werewolf in London is the superior werewolf movie. I do not wish to take anything away from John Landis's masterpiece of American Werewolf in London, but
not at all.
But it's a great film. But I think The Howling is a far superior werewolf movie, if that's what we're going for.
I think, just to comment real quick on American Werewolf in London, I think that it focuses more on the undead aspect of the victims, much more so than the actual story of werewolves. God, these reviews are getting vile.
True, because you've got that kind of like ha-ha comedy thing with his friend who dies in American, but we're not here to talk about American Werewolf in London.
We're here to talk about a real werewolf movie.
Yeah.
It's more classic. It's probably a better word.
Definitely. The Howling is one of those films that it feels, as you watch it, it feels very much like a very classic film from even 20, 30 years earlier than that. It's kind of a mystery at first.
Well, you've got the killer, Eddie Quist, which is a very cool name, by the way, for a serial killer.
Yeah. You have this investigative journalist who's trying to find out who this killer is, and
he's obsessed with her, right?
He is, and of course, through different circumstances, they end up then going to this little community out in the boonies.
Well, because Eddie Quist kind of gets killed right in front of the reporter. Yeah. She's kind of she's traumatized by this, so the therapy for that is to go out to this community.
Her therapist sends her that. Yeah. Played by Patrick Macnee, who maybe some of you older people remember. I used to watch the show with my dad. He was Agent John Steed on the Avengers, the original Avengers in the 60s.
He plays a psychiatrist, and he says a lot of cliched things.
He's very British.
the typical dribble from a TV psychiatrist, which is actually not far from real life. Mm-hmm. But sends her to this Northern California, Southern Oregon, wherever it is, place for it's called the Community.
It's just called the Community, and
it's where really she's supposed to go just to kind of relax and regain a little bit of herself.
Yeah, I mean it's supposed to be, I said, just a place for a person to find themselves and sort of, because she's so traumatized over her experience with Quist at the beginning, him basically turning into a werewolf in front of her eyes. But of course she really blocks a lot of that out. She's not quite sure what she saw, even though her eyes saw it.
But the traumatic experience kind of comes back when she tries to have relations with her husband. So it's very straining.
Yeah.
It's like as soon as he tries to be kind of freaky with her, it goes, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about with the soundtrack. It's kind of
great soundtrack.
Very dreamy in a lot of ways, but also kind of, it's very classic.
It's very classic, very eclectic soundtrack. You have a lot of different kinds of themes in it.
I couldn't tell you who did the soundtrack.
Neither could I. But it's a beautiful setting.
You go ahead and talk. I'll figure out who this is.
That's fine.
Music by Pino Donaggio.
That sounds like a wine. Go get us a bottle of Pinot Donaggio.
Yeah.
To have with our Tuscan chicken.
Yeah.
But this movie has such mind-blowing great effects for its time. It really pushed what they could do with makeup, what you could do with creature effects.
Joe Dante's vision of a werewolf is truly haunting.
Absolutely. Now, one thing I do kind of want to say real quick about this movie is I think people who go see a creature film these days don't really even know what one is, i.e. all these, I'm sorry, but like all these underworld type movies, all these, what's that? There's this one that just came out, I, Frankenstein.
Oh shit!
It's just there's no more allure and mystery to these creatures.
Everything's dark. Everything's like CG.
There's no more allure and mystery like these great creatures that Universal really did a great job in the 30s and 40s of establishing, like the werewolf. In those types of movies, you have people just turning into CG werewolves like that. Like, just at the snap of fingers, and there's no magic left into it. There's no mystery. It's like
The Howling is a 90-minute film, correct?
Yeah, and we decided to kind of see on rewatching again. What's the first time you see a full close-up werewolf completely transformed?
Completely transformed.
It's an hour and 5 minutes into the movie.
Yes.
Like an hour and 3 minutes, an hour and 5 minutes, and it's a 90-minute film.
Now, to be fair, you are teased with different stages of the werewolf as you go through. You've got the husband having sex with what's her name?
The hot chick.
The one, the lady, the nympho.
Yeah.
That wears the leather.
The really hot nympho.
So you've got a sex scene with there, and they're kind of partially transformed, and then you've got a werewolf that chases the other investigative journalist.
But the point is, they build up to you finally seeing this creature.
I think
they make it want to pay off, and just with films these days,
real tension.
Like I said, you don't feel the magic of it. It's like you're in Camelot and Merlin is dead. There's no magic left.
One of the biggest things that pushes that development is the imagery that you get. And I'm going to compare this movie in a lot of ways to The Fog. Same kind of environment, latitude and longitude wise of the geography, because you've got The Fog that was shot in Oregon, Northern California, and you've got this movie that was shot in Northern California, and you've got these huge redwood trees. Gives a really great mysterious woods environment for this macabre play
great
to go
setting
down.
Yeah,
it's very macabre. It's just a very macabre story, I think.
But it is, and it's one of those stories that the scenery naturally lends itself to it. It's
all you gotta do is light it up at night and it's gold.
Yeah.
And there's fog and stuff, but I think a lot of that's probably normal because I mean you've got a coastal environment, so there's a lot of moisture naturally, and it's kind of a cooler environment. So, but I mean, one thing about the cinematography is very soft lighting. They use like the Vaseline on the lens, and you've got this very artistic element to what's being delivered.
That's probably what they said in porn when they put Vaseline on lenses.
Yeah,
this is for art.
That's probably the ass getting too close to the camera there. Yeah.
No, but it's beautiful. And would you say, what's your favorite horror film with Dee Wallace?
Favorite horror film with Dee Wallace? Oh God, there's so many of them, and she's always so good.
I think The Howling's mine.
Oh man, The Hills Have Eyes is good.
Hills Have Eyes is classic, but like she's just so front and center in The Howling.
Well,
and oh yeah,
I have to show this.
Show off a little bit.
She did sign both my Hills Have Eyes posters. I have a Hills Have Eyes one sheet and an Australian Deadbolt, but I also have this beautiful Howling one sheet that it's in a plastic protective thing right now. But anyway, she said to Sam, "Bite me." It's awesome. She was so sweet though. She
was probably one of the nicest stars we've ever met.
Well, I remember that when I met her, I was kind of panicking for time because stars had been kind of pushing us.
Yeah.
Right? Like that was one of those weekends where the stars were kind of like, yeah, here's your signature, get out of here. But when I kind of presented my stuff, I was like, okay, can you sign this stuff for me? And she's like, slow down, enjoy this. And she really reminded us to take our time.
Wasn't that cool?
It was. And she was she was really nice.
Thank you, E.T.'s mom.
And she plays a motherly element in all these movies.
She does.
She's very nice and down to earth, like in Critters, like in E.T., Cujo, Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah.
The Howling is the other one where she's not a mom, really.
Yeah.
But she's a very kind wife. She's not slutty. She's very conservative. Mm-hmm. She's not one of these stars that sells herself on boobs and butt. I mean, it's.
But she's still gorgeous too, you know.
What did we notice about her in this movie? She looks different in every scene.
Oh yeah, sorry. Like every scene that she's in. Sorry, I didn't know if like you'd seen like a superfluous nipple like on her neck or something. That, like we hadn't noticed before. I was like, oh yeah, that's her neck nipple. But shit. Anyway, I'm
sorry, D, if you happen to watch this.
Yeah, no, D, you do not have a superfluous neck nipple. Jesus. She's beautiful, but
maybe in Lords of Salem she might have.
Maybe, but yeah, every scene like you look at Dee Wallace, like her hair's done differently, like she looks like way different in like every scene in the movie. I don't think it's a consistency problem. I actually just kind of like it.
It's fun. You don't really notice it until you like actually paying attention.
Because like bedroom D, office D. Business D, at play D.
How many werewolf movies can you really say have influenced you?
A couple. Honestly, the werewolf movie that really influenced me more as a child, because I didn't get to actually watch The Howling until I was around 13 or 14, which might be a little surprising because I got to see a lot of other stuff before that.
It was one of those I saw when I was on Cinemax when I was like 7 or 8.
Yeah. But werewolf, the werewolf movie that really influenced me when I was a young child was Silver Bullet.
Love Silver Bullet.
Yeah, that's probably the one most that I associated when I was a child in my mind with werewolves.
So you probably have the big three.
Yeah, I mean Silver Bullet, American Werewolf in London, and The Howling. I mean those are.
That's pretty much it.
What are the other good werewolf movies other than not counting the original Universal Lon Chaney Jr. films? What are the other good werewolf movies?
Well, you have a good werewolf in Monster Squad.
But that's not alone by itself a werewolf.
It's film. Not, but it's...
So I wasn't counting that. That's a great werewolf.
That just shows you that you don't have...
That's a tribute, of course, to the Universal.
Correct, but but the fact that you have to reach that far shows that you don't have very many movies.
Werewolves aren't used properly, I think.
They're not. Yeah. They're scary, too. Yeah. Like that. Joe Dante gives us the most frightening werewolves you've ever seen in your life. Mm-hmm. When you finally get to see the werewolf...
Yeah.
They all look...
Like I say, they build it up. You really build up to see this damn werewolf, and it totally pays off when it does, because, she's just looking through the file thing, and does he take the file from her? So he does, or he hangs the phone up?
He does.
Yeah.
And you've got Eddie Quist, but he's kind of corpse-ish, and he's got a couple bullet holes in his head.
Yeah.
And he tells her, I want to give you a piece of my mind. He pulls the bullet out of his... First of all, he gives you a fake head for this. Mm-hmm. He digs the bullet out of his brain, and he gives a piece of brain chunk on it. That's pretty cool effect in itself right there, because you got a fake head just for that.
Scary.
Very scary.
Yeah.
But the way he looks all gray and just dead.
He does. He's very ashen-faced.
Very waxy looking, too, and is just sick. But it's such a long sequence.
It's followed by the greatest werewolf transformation in cinema history,
and I don't see how anybody could even compare it to any other.
Like I said, this main argument is where American Werewolf in London comes in, which is a great transformation.
It's just short though, and it has a lot of cutscenes.
The payoff isn't as great for the Howling. I mean, for that movie as it is in the Howling,
because it's basically just a hulking beast on a wheelbarrow being pushed around.
Right.
It's limited.
That's the cool thing I like about the Howling werewolves. They kind of or keep all their mental faculties in their lichened form.
They're not a beast.
They're not a beast. I mean, they're savage. They're capable of doing savage things in this new body.
They're not just mindless animals.
They still have human thought, which is cool.
They're dark. That makes them so much darker.
Which makes them so much more dangerous, too.
Yeah.
They can control what they do. They can plan. They can stratagem,
and they're not like the werewolf that just kind of goes off at night, runs around, doesn't remember what it does, and then comes back to bed. I got blood on me.
What did I do last night?
Who did I kill?
Yeah. These people wake up and eat their honey bunches of oats and be like, I killed Ted last night. I ate his heart right off his fucking chest.
But I mean, you got such a very varied group of werewolves. They all have their own personalities and look to them.
Well, yeah, because that's another point. Because they're all individual people. So, lycanthropy, it affects everybody a little bit differently. I mean, I think that's really cool, and they do a great job of kind of showing that.
Yes, and they, even as humans, they have their own approach to how they would like to live as werewolves. Like the psychiatrist, the one.
This is a good point. Yeah,
he has this community set. The colony. It's not the community. It's the colony.
Sorry, it's called the colony. Oops.
He has this. But he has his original purpose for this place is not a therapy place. It's to keep. It's a habitat for the werewolves to feed on cattle, really.
That they're raising instead of humans.
Yeah, and they're keeping them. They're keeping humans safe. They're doing a public service by allowing the werewolves to become civilized and one day maybe regain some connection with humans, regular humans.
Sure, and it's really, in his mind, I think he's right. It's the only way for them to live, because it doesn't. I mean, you can think of it for selfish reasons too. It keeps them safe. It keeps them safe from exposure, and then you have people like Quist going out into the civilized world and committing all these murders, which is only going to draw attention back to them. He doesn't want that.
Which is essentially he's the reason that the place got destroyed.
Yeah.
He led reporters back there.
Which is why when they come to the psychiatrist and they tell him, look, this is what we know about him. He says, well, let's go to the colony. Let's do that, because he feels that bringing them there, he can control the situation a little bit better. He can control the way things go, because he knows they're going to find out.
Right.
And if he can control it, maybe persuade them to, become werewolves themselves, then everything will be better.
Side note about Quist. The Blu-ray has afforded us, by the way, this is a wonderful Shout Factory, Scream Factory release of the Blu-ray. It's not only got excellent artwork, but it does have some outstanding features. Most of these features are on the original DVD that most of you probably know and love, but you've got an extra thing about looking at the film's locations, which I'm dying to watch.
Oh, cool.
But one of the cool things about the Blu-ray is that you can actually pause and look and see what's on Quist's walls. These articles about all this rape
these
and
clippings.
Sick pornographic ads, and it's kind of fun to look at that perspective of the movie. It's much more than R-rated after that.
It gives you insight into how
what a character he is.
Batshit crazy he is, because like many other serial killers and other people they found, they saved their clippings and everything else. But some of these, that's what was cool about it. Some of these really range back from quite a long time ago. So
correct.
When you have a serial killer who's been committing murders for 50, 60 plus years, there's got to be something supernatural about that.
Yeah, this movie is also really daring. I want to say it's bold, and it's not afraid of censorship so much. I mean, you start off right away. Dee Wallace's character meets Eddie in a porn shop, and when she goes in to where he's supposed to meet her, there's torture porn, really.
Yeah, snuff film. There's like a snuff film playing.
It's not really snuff, but I mean,
it could. You don't know. You don't know how it ends.
It's that simulated rape that.
Yeah.
And it's not my thing, and it's not a lot of people's thing. But Joe Dante decided, hey, we're safe to put this in there. It's 1980.
Yeah.
Probably not, but.
That really was quite daring for the time.
Yeah, it's really daring.
And I think watching it again just a little while ago, we're so numb to so many explicit and shocking things now. I didn't really put that into context of, wow, this was made 32 years ago, and that's in this film.
Yeah. It still shocks me that, when I was younger and I saw this as a teenager. When I was a kid and I saw that, I was like, oh, am I supposed to see that?
Mm-hmm. No, you weren't.
Is that how sex is supposed to go?
Is that what you do with sex?
You choke her?
Cut down a woman and beat her. That's how you do it.
I mean, this is taking a dark turn, but it shows what's in the movie. It shows
primal instinct. It's really, you can look at it as an allegory of they're off in this forest, secluded area with their own primal instincts.
It shows why they're secluded.
They're allowed to govern themselves that way. Well, we consider them a savage animal, but then they come into civilization. There's torture porn. So are we really so different? We still hold on to savage instincts. I think I don't know if he meant for that to be the point. But that's just kind of what clicked with me just now, kind of thinking about it.
There's a lot of those elements in the movie, I think.
Yeah.
Really, because you notice how the whole time...
We do not condone torture porn, by the way.
It's not my thing.
No.
You've got... The whole movie, you've got these comics and cartoons showing the violent werewolf and classic movie. Even put some classic movie werewolves in there. And it shows it comparing to scenes, kind of co-occurs with scenes in real life, in real time in the movie. And it's neat to show, I think that's one of his ways of showing the evolution of the werewolf. Because you see the cartoon werewolf, you see Lon Chaney.
That's true. Yeah, there's clips of the werewolf in this film.
So it's one way for him to be like, look how far the werewolf's come, and look what I did to the werewolf. Because it's been like 50 years since it's been...
That's a great point.
Yeah, I mean, how long has it been since you've seen a good werewolf? Since Lon.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that's quite a jump.
Yeah.
That's a huge jump. It just shows that the werewolf wasn't given its fair due in the 70s or 60s. And one thing about this movie being 1980, it feels like such a 1978 film because of the clothes and the way everything's laid out.
It's definitely it's considered an 80s film because it was technically made in that decade, but it was definitely a jumping off point from the 70s.
Right.
Yeah.
It was people hanging on to that era, and
which those films, there's a few of them. You really find gems in there, you know.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. This is one of my favorites, and I can never hide my love for The Howling. From the artwork of the poster in the movie to the music to subtle humor at the end, even. Something about Dee Wallace. We asked her why she was a little puppy, cute-looking werewolf.
Well, at the end, she reveals herself to the world. She
didn't want to be like that. She wanted to be the gross like the scary werewolf.
Instead, it looks like Chewbacca had sex with a teddy bear, and that's what she looked like.
She got this cute little nose,
little butt nose.
She doesn't even have a long snout, or
an elongated snout. Yeah, what the heck, man?
She's like.
It's like I expected her to, like, in that transformation where, like, she looks like a little freaking, where those little shit-eating dogs are. She looks like one of them, like little ribbons in its hair.
Yeah, Shih Tzu.
Shih Tzu,
but
yeah.
When you really think about, like, the female dog, it's well known that the female species of a dog is more devoted to protection and is more willing to fight to the death.
It's like that in a lot of species, but yeah, of course.
They are very ferocious protectors and defenders of their environment. So I think it was kind of silly to shy away from how gruesome she really should have looked as a werewolf. I think as a werewolf, I think she probably would have been, if her real personality had shown through, she probably would have been quite a gruesome werewolf.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a female in it.
I guess we were supposed to keep feeling sympathy for her because, he does, of course.
I think what it boiled down to was an agent didn't want her face to look. They didn't want her image to be scarred.
I don't remember if she told us that or not.
I think she did. She mentioned that it was not her call.
Did. Yeah, I remember her saying that.
She wanted to be one of the scary
because that's what made sense. And they're like, we can't turn her into this mom. This is E.T.'s mom. Well, she wasn't E.T.'s mom.
That was exactly what she said. This is E.T.'s mom.
Yeah. That's what it was. So we can't turn her into.
It was a studio. It was a studio choice because
bad choice.
The Howling is an MGM
film,
and it's a major company, and they couldn't do that to E.T.'s mom.
Well, whatever. It was the wrong choice.
Cujo's mom.
Yeah, Cujo's mom.
The most lasting. Wait. Do you have a favorite line from the movie? I mean,
probably the exact same one as yours.
Silver bullets my ass.
Yeah.
Just because of the way it's said.
Yeah, exactly. When he's trying to shoot him, he's like, I got silver bullets in here. And like the guy goes, silver bullets, and then like his werewolf voice starts to take over. He's like, silver bullets. I mean, it was like really, it's very scary, I think. I think it's a scary line.
Well, and I also think there's another line that stands very tall to the werewolf order, and it's the bumpkin guy. The real, he's kind of feral. He says,
"Oh yeah,
you don't eat what you kill. That's a sin.
That's a sin.
Something you don't eat. Now that's a sin."
Because the werewolves, think about it. Werewolves would
you don't
think
eat what
that.
you kill. That's a sin.
Yeah, werewolves would think that because that's what they do. They kill. I mean, they kill to live.
But they also have a respect. It also shows that they have a respect for nature in a way. The order of things, the food chain.
Yeah.
And to waste that is insulting Mother Nature. So it may not be the golden rule kind of thing. It may not be a very Christian idea for the werewolf, but it's proper by...
That's okay. The Native American thought, waste not, want not.
Right?
I mean, they used every part of what they killed.
It's survival,
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite scene?
My favorite scene in The Howling, if we're omitting the transformation scene.
Well, hang on. Let's compare the two real good scenes where you have Eddie Quist. So the two scenes with Eddie Quist, where he's transforming, or the one where he's post-transformed and he's got the acid on his face. Which of those two are of your favorite scene with Eddie?
I think my favorite scene, I think the scene where he looks the scariest is the one after he transforms where he's had the acid thrown in his face, where you kind of get like that skull effect with it.
The skull looks really good underneath.
Yeah, it's really scary. It's genuinely scary makeup, I think.
And I think it would look like a skull that had like acid on it, because it's nice and kind of white and kind of like acid had eaten all the flesh off. It's really good looking.
Like I said, he's got that thing that really I like about him that I find scary is like that whole ashen faced kind of thing. He's a scary looking dude. He's
kind of weird looking regardless of makeup.
There's a very Tom Noonan quality about him, I thought.
He does. It looks a lot like Tom Noonan. But like with the acid on the face, when he's in the dark and he's just got like his face is kind of chunked up and kind of slimy, and he's got that one red eye. It's like reddish orangish. That's one thing about the werewolves.
That's what I was gonna say. I love the eye effects that they use. Like when they're first, you have like the sex scene with the nympho and the husband.
Which there's some animation in this.
And her eyes start to change. I was like, wow, that looks really good.
Yeah,
I definitely like that.
I think it's kind of cheesy how like during the sex scene they constantly they're like, look at my teeth. I want to show my teeth as much as possible because I'm a werewolf. It's like they're really trying to play that up. Like they're not used to having the teeth in their mouth. I get that. I mean, it's kind of
yeah.
But I mean, you've got like at the end of that sex scene, you've got like this animation that we kind of discussed. Was that pointless or was it artistic?
I think it was artistic. I mean, granted, when you're looking at something in high def now, you see more of the warts on the hand than anything. But
this movie's beautiful.
It's it's beautiful. HD. I mean, it's done very artfully.
It's clean looking.
That animated scene, like where they become wolves, they change. Of course, they're just in shadow, but it's great. I love it.
One thing that you might complain about is certain scenes that were really grainy before are still grainy now. But it's how they were shot, and if you really look at it, you can tell that the film is very smooth and clean looking. It's just grainy from where it was probably pitch black outside. I mean, some of that stuff was probably really dark when they did it. So, I mean, you can't have like bright spotlights on every lasting scene, So, anyway, any closing thoughts about the movie? Closing remarks?
Not much that's really gone unsaid yet. Because, like I said, I think it's the best werewolf movie that's ever been made.
That says it all, I think.
Yeah. I dare anyone out there to make a better one, and I hope you do.
I think Tom Atkins should have been in it. That's just
a
closing little remark about it.
It's okay. That guy was like working man's Tom Atkins.
Kind of. He probably afforded them so they could afford the effects.
Do you think it's funny that as soon as we started watching this movie and we saw him, the first thing we both thought was, I wish that was Tom Atkins, because he had the sweater and the mustache. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he didn't have the charm of Tom Atkins.
He didn't.
Tom Atkins could probably get any woman on the face of the planet, I think.
You know what? I think you're right. I think Tom Atkins probably smells like Brute Cologne and Miller Lite and it's great.
And gunpowder.
Yeah.
Anyway, with that, I'm Sam.
And I'm Evan.
And this has been a horror appraisal of The Howling.
Thanks a lot, guys.
See ya.
Bye.